Please give a warm welcome to writer-director Simón Mesa Soto. So Simón, right off the back, from the right up front, I want to ask you, we hear of his poetry throughout the movie and the poems that he written in the past, but we never hear his poems until the end. Why did you held back on the poems until the last moment of the film?
I was kind of more interested in the world of as an anthropological view of the poets in my city. This takes place in Medellin, Colombia, rather than the poetry itself. I didn't want to idealize the poetry in a way, but I had this idea of finding the poetry at the end of it, like to find the pureness of poetry towards the end of the film, rather than hearing poetry all the way through the film. It's like he finds the essence of poetry at the end. So, and at the end, I mean, the first version of the script, there was a few poetry of him in throughout the film, but I didn't want to have a lot of poetry. I don't really want it to have that much of a poetry, but to talk about the poet itself.
Yeah. The film has this like raw quality, gritty quality. It was obviously shot in 16 millimeter. There is the celluloid frame around the film. And the handheld camera, tell us about, it feels like a 1960s John Cassavetes independent film, tell us about it. And I've seen your previous film, Amparo looks like, this beautiful, classic drama, but this has this like gritty, edgy quality to it.
Well, I had some idea of getting rid of the way we in Latin America kind of make films, especially independent art house films, that they have like a very similar way, all of them, and because the way we make art in a place like Colombia, like this film in a way depicts our dilemmas as artists from a place like Latin America, from places in Latin America. So I was trying to get rid of that idea that I had even in my first film that is more formalistic, more contemplative, more kind of art house. And I want to destroy that idea and to make something that for us was different. This kind of roughness can be seen probably in Cassavetes, or in the Dogma 95 kind of cinema. But in Colombia, I think for me, it was something unique. So, and I like that thing of the ugliness of everything in the film, like to be rough and ugly and gritty, yeah, because there's a beauty about that. It's like, also, where is the poetry? You always think that the poetry is something that is very beautiful in a way, but we wanted to try this ugliness throughout the film, and we wanted to shoot this on film because this guy is from the past.
16 millimeter.
16. We shot in 16 because it gives more of a this gritty ugliness, this kind of a sense, and particularly the sense of the past, because the poet, this guy Oscar, he wrote this. He had these two books when he was in his 20s.
Correct.
And he's always talking about them. So it's like he's living in the past, and with us in 16 mil, even though it's happening in present time, we could feel that he's living in the past. Mm-hmm. So that was the idea with it, and also the messiness of the camera is also. I was thinking like it's the way he is, like with this kind of unpredictable messiness in his head.
Even the music, it reminded me of like a early Woody Allen type of
Yeah.
film. Was that intentional? I forget what the instrument is.
It's a clarinet, most of it.
Clarinet, which is what-
and I don't know, in Spanish it's called the la tuba, the
Yeah, it's tuba. Yeah, trombone.
trombone.
Trombone,
Yeah,
and the clarinet, which is Woody Allen's instrument.
Yeah, it was. I think it was, for me, it was more like the satire, because I was trying to portray a cliche of a poet in a way, like make a satire of this idealistic view of poetry and arts and cultivated art that is the poetry. So it was like the mixture with this tropical landscape of Medellin, but poets like them, because they exist a lot in my city, like these guys who believe they are these big poets and they listen to jazz music or to this world for the Western world but they are just these guys living in the street, walking around in cafeterias in Medellin, you know. So this sense of the jazz is like what they feel is their soundtrack, you know. For me, it was like a little joke of making this beautiful kind of nostalgic music, but to cut it like this, to create this roughness also with the editing. That we thought a lot about the editing, like to be rough in a way, to cut the cliche as well, because we were trying to, I'd say I wanted to destroy that idea of first the cliche of the poet, but also the idea of suffering that I think is, I mean, when you make art, because sometimes I feel I'm a bit nihilistic in my view of art. Like to make a film or to make art, you have to suffer or you have to go through the darkness. And I think this is, at the end, is dangerous for us to make a film, to suffer, and you have to find a light to make art. So it was why, for me, it was important for me, it's such a personal film, because I needed that. I needed to get rid of that idea of the artist in the shadows in order to survive filmmaking. I mean, because filmmaking is quite tough sometimes.
Yeah. Which actually, I wasn't going to ask you this right away, but you started talking about cinema and art. What I love about your film is that, like, we're dealing with poets, but the film deals directly about cinema itself and how painful it is to create cinema. And I couldn't help. I mean, you're a filmmaker. Is that something that, I mean, you disguise yourself as a poet in the film? Am I?
Well, I think artists, we're all poets in a way, like the more idealistic or view of the artist. But for me, this is a film about me in a way. I mean, this is my second feature film, and when I made my first feature, I struggled a lot making it. I ended the film I finished the film in the pandemic, and we had to put it away for a while. Like we couldn't show it. And I'm a professor as well. I teach cinema in university in Medellin. And when I made my first film, I thought of giving up cinema, because I spent a lot of all of my youth, I devoted myself to cinema, and I never lived out of cinema. I actually am a professor. I lived out of being a professor, and I was thinking that I was dedicating myself all this love and efforts to cinema, and with my first film, I didn't get any money or anything. The film we finished in the pandemic, so we couldn't not show it anywhere. So I was thinking maybe I will just give up this crazy idea of cinema and just be a full-time professor. And then I thought, what kind of professor will I become in 20 years if I give up cinema? Like, probably it will be this guy, alcoholic or bohemian figure who is talking about his films when he was young, and
you can show clips
like
from your
my
old
own
films.
professor. I start thinking about my own professors that they were like talking about cinema when they made a few shorts in the past. But now they arrive late at class and they are a bit drunkies, and so
Not me.
so I thought I would become that. And I was frustrated about cinema. So I started thinking that I will make a film about the worst version of myself in 20 years if I give up cinema.
Yeah.
And
It's not funny, guys. You know, I teach.
No, it's sad.
It is sad. I teach at Santa Barbara City College, and I was telling Simón that some of the professors who remain nameless show shorts that they did from like 20 years ago. And there's two types of professors. There's the bitter ones, or the ones that like look at the young people as...
Of course. I mean, being professor is amazing. I love the job. I love being connected with the youth and everything. But it's true, many filmmakers like me, we have to find jobs everywhere in order to make films. I mean, in countries like Colombia or even here, I mean, it's difficult to make independent cinema. So you think about giving up is the normal thing you will think. Like I will try. I mean, like in Colombia, we're a society, an industry, let's say, of 2 and second films, because after that you don't have the strength or the stamina to keep on doing this. So that's why you think of giving up cinema. Many people give up cinema, but I kind of used that in a way, like I took my own frustration and I managed to channel all through a poet. To tell, I just decided to laugh at myself, you know, to laugh at myself and to laugh about the job of the artist in a society like where I live, you know, like all the dilemmas we face when we try to make a film in Colombia, or poetry, or writers, or actors.
Right.
Like, you know.
You bring up the humor in the film, but you don't just make fun of yourself and teachers. You make fun of, you know, the festival world. You make fun of the lower class. You make fun. I mean, you make fun of everybody at once.
I just wanted to scream, you know. For me, it was like I just wanted to scream about, because in comedy it has this thing that you can say things that you're usually afraid of saying. It's like if you scream, you tell things about the world that surrounds you, and you can just make fun of it, you know, And for me, the important thing about making this film is to have freedom and not to be afraid of laughing and to make fun of everything, you know, like just to screen about society, the artist, everything, and to get rid of something that happens these days a lot, that we are very afraid of saying things in a way.
I haven't been to Colombia, shame on me, but I'm from Panama next door, and we have that big class divide that you actually show us in the film. And, you know, tell us about the the fact that you show us, you know, the world of Oscar, but then it's in stark contrast with the world of Urlati, you know. You know, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, in places like Colombia, we have a huge difference in each class, you know, and there's a lot of inequity, you know, and sometimes we artists, because in Colombia, when the tradition of cinema is like, for instance, use non-actors, you know, like to do social studies of our society, and there's a lot, like an ethical and moral thing about that, because it's like taking a character, take the character out of their life and make them like a piece of your own art, and we face that reality, and also because we make these films and we show it in festivals, for instance. like in festivals around the world. And so we face that dilemma. It's like, because sometimes a person like Yurlaidi is just a person like all of us, and she has this little desire of talking about life, talking about whatever she wants to, but art I don't know how to say this in English. It takes you, como que I don't know, like the world of art in a way becomes the things you criticize. So like the world of art can drown you to tell and say not necessarily what you want to tell. And this happened in cinema a lot, for instance, in Colombia, that we are so used to foreign audiences, what they want to see, not what we want to make. So I wanted to, this thing about the screaming is like what we want to make. I mean, for instance, here in the United States, there's a cinema that this film can be like here, but not in Colombia, because in Colombia we make this more like art house cinema that is more, and we think about all foreign audiences a lot, So I really wanted to make a film that talks to audiences in Colombia. That was my goal, actually, to make a film that it was amusing and entertaining. And I thought it was even more radical than making a film that is more art house.
Correct.
Because it's also what I'm talking about in the film.
On the same vein, Yurladi, the character of the young woman, she becomes his art. And there's a beautiful relationship between, what I mean, right? The fact that Yurladi is what he wants to be, becomes his art. Can tell us about the dynamic between Yurladi and Oscar.
For me, Yurladi is in a way the tool that helps me portray what really is art, in a way, like because I always, it's like a mirror to me, like I'm Oscar in a way. And
you're better looking than I.
You can ask me about Weimar, the actor, later, but yeah. So it's like we have this obsession with we artists are a bit like narcissistic, and we have this obsession with recognition. Like we make art to transcend in our work and to do things that are to have recognition in a way, and usually and even more in Colombia, that art revolves around social issues. So I was very curious to see how Yurlaidi, this relationship between the two, is a way for him to understand that this thing about recognition is just is just an illusion, And when you make cinema, when you make art, you're always thinking about the future. You're obsessed with the future. Like you don't care much, because we are like kind of obsessive people, Like you don't care about the present, and you think that you have to make this film, you have to make this, and you forget about living in a way, which is at the end what is important. Like for me now, making films, I don't think it is important, or I try not to make that important to have like this idea of recognition or the future, but to live what is important. And I think the present is important, and to have an easy life, to enjoy life, to enjoy the process of in the case of Yurlaidi, because she was saying that, like the simple things,
She says, I'm not interested in being a poet. I just want to live peacefully. And that really, that line really struck.
And I think in art it's more important to enjoy the process of making it, and if it fails, which means if it's not recognized, it's okay. Like I was trying to find a way to make peace with failure. Like for me, it was important to make peace with failure. Like you can fail in the process of making something, and it's okay. It's not a problem, because life is like that. It's like we all are artists at some point, and in a way, like we all humans are artists. When we were growing up, we like art, and then our lives goes to different ways, and we have dreams, but probably our dreams they don't work, and it's okay as well. Like because when you make films, for instance, you have this obsession with recognition and stuff, and this is problematic as well. It's like, for me, I was trying to talk to myself in a way and say, I need to be your lady, not to be Oscar, in a way. Yeah.
Actually, it was beautifully said, and that's when I was watching the film, I was wishing especially when she says, I just want to leave peacefully, where Oscar wants recognitions, he wants to be loved, and she just wants to live.
And the same thing with Daniela, his daughter, because for me, Daniela was also a metaphor of the artist in a way, because when you make like art obsessively, you are always thinking about the future and you forget about the present. Mm-hmm. And for me, Daniela is Oscar's present. Wow. And he's not taking care of Daniela, you know? It's like realizing that for thinking about this obsession, he forgot about Daniela, in a way.
I am going to ask you about casting Weimar, who the actor that plays Oscar, never acted before, and you entrusted him with the main character in your film. Tell us about finding him and your trust in this non-actor.
Yeah, that was a huge risk we took, because, the script was, we know there was a lot of dialogue, a lot of scenes. It was a big thing. So I wanted to have an actor, and we looked for a professional actor for a long time, but we also wanted to have like poets from the universe of the poetry in other roles in order to mix this thing and to create this reality, to have the realism of the poetry world. So we have these two casting process, and at some point, a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, when he saw the advertisement of the casting, he sent me the Facebook profile of his uncle, called Weimar, and he told me this is a professor in high school of philosophy, but he likes poetry a lot. He has a little festival of poetry he lives in a little town in outside the city. Maybe he can be one of the poets. And I look at him, and the first thing I say, no, this is not my poet, because my idea of the poet was actually different from in the script. I wanted something more sober, more dark. I don't know, serious, not dark, like more, not that comedy, not that much of a comedy. And when I saw him, he was very particular. And I was afraid that maybe it will be a bit of a cartoon or something. But then we did the test, and I saw him in the little videos that we make for the test, and he changed my mind in a way. I didn't plan to have him. It was like an accident. And it took me a while because I got obsessed with him. I started stalking him on Facebook, on YouTube. He had a YouTube channel, because in the pandemic, since he's a professor in high school, and in the pandemic, he made some videos for his students, and he was like that, like talking like that, and I started looking at him while I was still looking for this actor, professional actor, and I started thinking that this can be the poet, But when you are directing a film, you also, I mean, I have the characters I constructed the characters very precisely, I don't know, in the script.
Yeah,
but
precisely. Yep.
But when I found him, he changed the way I was seeing my own character. In a way, he was so particular. So then we call him back again, and we do that test. And he has this ability to act, which is very important to be natural and to be. He's like a natural actor, you know. And
did you have to rehearse him?
A lot. I mean, of course, we have to work a lot with him. But what he brings to the character is him, especially the external things. I mean, he's a normal person. He's very different than the poet. He's married. He has 3 children. He's been a professor for 30 years, a philosophy professor in high school. He has a normal life, you know. But the way he is externally, like the way he speaks, the way he runs, the way he screams, the way he behaves, is him. You know, is pretty much him. So it's like, and he's funny, you know, like the way he. But that's also something that is very important that he brought to the character is the empathy, because I think in the script the character didn't have that much empathy.
But he's not as pathetic as Oscar is.
No, he's not as pathetic as. No. He understood that the character was more like that. He's not as pathetic of him. He's funny. He's very funny. I mean, when you see him, he's very funny. But he brought all that with him, and we went through a process of preparing for 2 months the character and working in the acting. The techniques of the acting, and he asked for a license, a leave from the high school, and he changed his life now.
And now he's acting. Is he getting other job offers?
Well, the good thing is like now he's 56. He's about to retire this year from high school, so he's not that. He said maybe if somebody calls me, I will do it. But he's okay. I mean, he's enjoying the moment. In Colombia, it's a bit popular now because the film was on released like 7 weeks ago, and people know him a lot. But of course, you have to also to work a lot with him in order to take the best out of him. You know, there's a lot of work to do, and he understands that. Is not going to be the same in another film or in another TV show or whatever, but he's open to it. He likes it, and we'll see. He got a cast for a Netflix show in Colombia for a little part, so he was excited. Like it's the first thing that he will try after the film. And he feels ashamed because he's winning Best Actor in so many festivals now, and he feels ashamed with the professional actors in Colombia. I say, I'm sorry, like that's his answer when he gets an award. It's like, because I didn't work for this, it just came to me. So it's like
you mentioned several poets in your film, and you, of course, bring up Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Nobel literature winner. But then you also bring up Jose Asuncion Silva, who was a poet that died when he was 30 years old, committed suicide. And in the film, you show Oscar. He draws his heart on his chest, thinking about suicide and thinking about Asuncion. Can you tell us the importance of bringing up Asuncion in your film?
It was like in the 3rd draft of the film that I was reading a book by a Colombian writer, Fernando Vallejo, that he made a biography, a beautiful biography of this writer. And I start understanding of the life of Jose Asuncion. The thing with the heart is actually when he killed himself when he was 30, and the days before he killed himself, he went to the doctor because he couldn't sleep. He wanted to have something to sleep, and then he asked the doctor to draw him the place of the heart in the chest. So the doctor made a little drawing of the heart in the chest of José Asunción Silva. So of course, when Oscar is doing that, it's like little details I decided to put in the film, not to understand really. It's just that little details of José Asunción's life. And when José Asunción Silva started finding a way in the script, I realized that there was a lot of things in society in Colombia that could work on the film, like the bills. It's like, for me, it was even impressive. Like, we have the 50 bill is Garcia Marquez, the biggest Colombian writer, let's say, but in the 5 is José Asunción, which is also a huge one, but is more like this poet, suffering poet, and with less value, So it's funny, but when you're writing comedy, you start playing around with that, It's like you find a way to put these things together and see that they work or not.
Last question. You shot this film in January 2025, and it got submitted into Cannes, and you had to submit it,
We didn't submit it on time. We passed the deadline,
but it was by May. You were in Cannes showing your film, where it won jury prize. Why this fast, crazy process? And did it work?
I just don't understand why we have to take so long to shoot a film. I mean, or to make a film. I love shooting. For us, like for this kind of films. We spend a lot of time finding the money to make it, like years. We spent 2 or 3 years finding the money, but now when we find like some money to make it, the process of making the film is so nice, it's so enjoyable, and we had a really nice time. We were laughing when we were shooting, and we were very fast, and we didn't have much film stock. So we could only do 2 or 3 takes per shot.
So you were like Godard and breathless.
Yeah, we were fast, and we didn't, because we wanted to have freedom and enjoy. Like, I wanted to reconnect. As I say, I was like with this frustration about cinema, so I wanted to reconnect and to have freedom and to not care too much and to enjoy the process. And it was like a magical thing for us. In January, we shot we did a lot of planning, like. Since we shot in with a little film stock, we couldn't experiment during the shooting. So we almost shoot the whole film during the rehearsals. So we knew even with the camera was moving like a documentary, we knew how we were going to move the camera out. We wanted to give that sense of documentary, but we were very precise in a way. And it went well. I mean, for us, we love making cinema. We are the producer. I'm the producer with my DOP. We are the producers of the film. We enjoy making it as kids. We were like playing around. So it was very nice. In January and February, we shot the film. We didn't have much material, so we managed to edit it in a month or so, which was weird. And then we sent it to Cannes, and they liked it. So and since then, the film has been traveling around. And I love the fact that we don't care that much. I mean, like when you shot in 16, you have to clean the film, to restore the thing so it doesn't look that ugly. But we saw the thing is like, it kind of works out with the film like that, with these edges.
It has the rough edges of
yeah.
Oscar.
But I mean, not all 16 comes out like this. Is because the assistant camera, the first I see, he didn't clean the gate of the camera.
All the little
because he didn't know how to do it. So it was a bit dirty.
When
But
I was watching the film, I thought you guys added that.
no, it is like that, but it's very dirty. It's even more dirty than it used to go if you have a good AC. You know, like no, we have a great AC. It's just that the camera, I mean, it wasn't cleaned properly or whatever. So we have a. But Omar, the AC, he's amazing. You know, he's great.
But he had Oscar as an assistant who wasn't cleaning the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looked a bit like rough, but we kind of like this kind of freedom of not caring too much, to be very like handmade cinema, like to reconnect with the. You know, I always think of this film like I make this film about the worst version of myself in 20 years in order to reconnect with the young guy, 19 years old, when I started making films, and the love for cinema that I had at that time. So I managed to do that because I mean, and embracing the error as well. I don't think it's a perfect film, and I don't want to make a perfect film. You know, there are issues and stuff, and it's okay. Like you have to think about art and the process, enjoying it, and accept imperfection, and just enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. Well, it won jury prize at Cannes on Certain Regard. So, congratulations, guys. We're actually going to be showing the film in February theatrically. So, if you love the film, spread the word. And you're a delight. I'm so glad you came and we got a chance to chat.
I'm so happy I'm here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.